Hi, I'm Emily Ewing and I'm joined by the always wonderful Carol Hodge for Ewing and Hodge Chat. This is a mini-sode episode where we'll be having a chat all about dealing with rejection in the music industry and how we navigate it and try to deal with it. So Carol, in the past or recently when you've applied for something or put yourself forward for something music related and you've had a no, how do you deal with it? Do you deal with it? Tell us.
Well, my recent experience has been with I've been booking a tour for this June. My friend Julia Othmer from America is coming over and we're doing a tour together. And I decided that, we should do the booking for it because it's a really small acoustic tour. So we're looking at very small venues. So first of all, I completely underestimated how long that process actually takes. It pretty much took me an entire month of work just to book. I think we've ended up with 13 dates.
Wow.
And so much of that is basically a form of rejection in that you spend the time researching, finding a contact, emailing the contact, personalizing your emails so that you're proving that you've taken an interest in their programming, in their venue, you know who they are and what they're about. And a lot of the time you just don't get any kind of response whatsoever. But the good thing about that is it made me appreciate even more when people do get back to you. And I even had some people get back to me saying, it's not for me, I'm not interested, try this promoter, which I thought was amazing because they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to take the time to even reply to say no because loads of people didn't. So I kind of used that rejection as a way of making me appreciate the non-rejections in that case.
Have you found it quite difficult in the past then? Like looking back like 10 years or so when someone was like, no! Did you find it a bit harder then? Have you always kind of just gone with the punches with it?
To be honest, I was very, very sensitive about rejection for a very, very long time, and I took any sort of criticism or any sort of declining of an invitation or any sort of being ignored. I took it very personally, way more personally than I should have done.
Yeah.
Which didn't do me any favours. Obviously, it wasn't a conscious thing. It wasn't like, I'm going to deliberately get offended by this. It was just how, my brain reacted to things. I do think that practicing being rejected is a good thing. And it's a good way to look at it. It's like a muscle. The more rejection you get, the more you put yourself out there and get ignored or turned down, you do get desensitized to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like any kind of creative industry, there's a lot of no's in it anyway, so it isn't really an industry like acting or anything people go up for auditions or whatever it might be. It's a very like no based industry. Like you're probably going to hear more no's than yeses. I think there's some comfort in that, I find as well, like you're not alone.
Yeah, especially acting. Acting is basically, I wonder what the percentage is if, how many auditions you don't even get the audition, how many auditions you do and don't get the job. But again, that it makes you really appreciate the jobs you do get.
Yeah.
What about you? Tell me about your recent rejections and how you dealt with it.
I find like I can be quite sensitive about it still. I think it ultimately depends on like my mood because I am someone that suffers with anxiety. So if I'm having quite an anxious time, I probably will be a bit more like take it to heart a little bit more. Whereas if I'm in a better frame of mind, then you can kind of learn from it. But that is probably the main thing about it. It is learning. It's especially if they provide you with feedback, which is helpful, and that's trying not to be sensitive with that, but it is kind of taking that, and just sometimes also you're not right for everything, and that's okay as well. Like there are just some people that just are suited to it better, and at least you gave it a go. It's a positive thing as well.
And I think
we
that's
try.
the
Can but try.
Yeah. Always try, because yeah, I mean, if you don't try, it's always going to be a no. If you do try, there's a possibility it could be a yes. But that's a really good point about getting feedback. And it is really nice when people do take the time to say, you know, no, and here's why. Because you've got to remember that it is an industry that we're working in, and you know, I've had promoters get back to me and just said, look, I'm sorry, it's too, what you're looking for is too high a fee for what I can do, or I don't think we'll sell the tickets. And that's good to get that feedback of people just being honest and saying, you know, because they're trying to make a living as well. And I guess it's about finding those people that you can help each other out, because that's another way to look at it. Is I think a lot of the time, if you're a musician, you often feel like you're in the position where you're asking for something.
Yeah, it does come across like that a lot.
And really, I think it's partly about changing that mindset of thinking, well, what does, again, I'm just thinking of my recent experience of, you know, talking to promoters and venues, like, what do they want? What are they looking for? And ultimately, it's something that will shift some tickets and keep them in business. And something musically that fits in with what else they're doing, or something that they think their local audience will be interested in. So I think putting yourself in their shoes and looking back at what your offer is quite a useful exercise, rather than thinking like you're always the one going with your cap in your hand and asking for something. It's like, well, here's what I can offer you.
Sir. Oliver Twist.
Yeah, but it does feel like that, doesn't it? That's often the energy. It's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, also it's important to remember that it's just an opinion. Like, you know, like, because you do live stuff, like there might be 100 people in that room, and one person out of that 100 might not like it, and that's completely fine. You won't satisfy everybody's like tastes and stuff, and that's absolutely fine, and that's beauty in that. But we're all different.
Yeah, I think there'll be more than 1 in 100 who don't like what I do, Emily.
You never know.
I think that's a very conservative estimate. Yeah.
Well, you know. But I was going to also ask, like, I think we kind of touched on it already a little bit, but advice for anyone that's feeling rejected at the moment, if they have put themselves forward for an audition, sent it for a review, looking for tour dates like yourself, promoters, and they've had a lot of no's and feeling like, what's the point? Do you have any advice?
The thing
those people
I always try and come back to, and the thing that always makes me feel better, because often if you're a self-employed musician, you're spinning so many plates and wearing so many hats. Yeah. And the thing I always forget about is that it's about the music. It's about me singing and playing piano and writing songs. And that's the core of everything I do, and it's the core of why I want to do it. And sometimes I lose sight of that because it just feels like you're hustling all the time. So anybody who gets rejected or is finding that, you know, they feel like they're knocking at the door and they're not getting in, always come back to, you know, can I write a better song? Can I rehearse more? Could I learn something new that'll help me, you know, music theory wise? Or can I get better at my instrument by doing something? Like focusing on that, because that's the reason you're doing it, that putting your energy into that and making that the priority, I think is always useful, because then you feel like you're enjoying it and you're getting something out of it, and you're thinking, well, I'm getting better at this and I'm enjoying this and I'm exploring this amazing thing that I want to do, and it makes everything else secondary. You know, the fact that you didn't get that support slot, or, you know, there weren't enough people who bought your new single or whatever. It's just like, well, that's, I know it's important because we have to make a living, but it's actually peripheral to the core thing, which is you being an artist.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, kind of following on to that, is like growth is a beautiful thing as well. Like it's just also just keep doing what you're doing, and just keep growing, like the art that you're making as well. And like you said, it's either learning something, collaborating with people is a good thing as well. Playing someone you've never played before is good. So you just got to keep at it and just keep growing into the best that you can.
Absolutely.
Because it is in quite a like competitive industry. There's a lot of people wanting the same thing. So you have to see a lot of people.
and I think it's important to be careful with that mindset as well. It's important not to view other people as competition, because it's not a talent contest, and we're here to share our artistry and our thoughts and feelings and our beauty and our unique voice with the world. Like, and that's the other thing, remembering no one else can do you better than you can, and play things the way you play them and write the songs that you write. Like it's a bit of a cliche really, but it's true. We often lose sight of that. We're often trying to be something that we're not. We're often trying to fit in, or looking at who's successful and thinking, well, I need to be more like that. It's like, well, they're already doing that. So
I know we've touched upon it with like other Ewing and Hodge chat episodes as well. Check those out. But sometimes like the algorithm as well. I think like social media, like feeling like you have to consistently. I saw a post the other day from an artist that I know, and it was about the algorithm, and there's something about marketing where it was sort of saying you must release singles all the time, and they were saying, well, actually I just want to release albums. I just want to release EPs and just stay true to kind of they understood kind of why that's the way it is, but also it's the art that you want to make and how you present it out there, and that's
I mean, personally speaking, it really annoys me if I get into a new musician or band, and I want to listen to an album, and if they've just got loads and loads of singles, it's kind of annoying, because it's easier to just click play on an album and listen to the whole thing than have to keep coming back or creating a playlist or whatever so you can listen to everything. But I realise I'm a bit of a dinosaur in that.
I have like a splattering of EPs and singles as well. It depends how people consume stuff, and I think when you have a fan base, albums and EPs might be more like, it makes more sense. But I suppose if you're growing a fan base and people just want stuff right now,
I mean, it's that thing, isn't it? You know? Of like
on demand,
people might listen to one song. It's probably quite naive or egotistical of me in a way to think, well, people will listen to an entire album. It's like, well, no, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll listen to the first 30 seconds and be like, no, I don't like that. So,
I'll listen.
Different.
But I think that's basically wrapping up this mini-sode. So thank you all for listening, and our if you're watching this on YouTube, our social media links will be down below. Thank you for joining us. Ewing and Hodge Chat. Yay!